Captain Alex Harper, 42, has served in the United States Army for over 20 years. I grew up in a military family, the kind where discipline was as natural as breathing and pride ran through our veins, shaping every decision and every move I made. From early morning drills to late-night mission briefings, my life has always been a balance between duty, family, and survival in an environment that demands perfection. My career has taken me across the globe, from remote desert bases to crowded command centers, each assignment leaving its mark on who I am. I've learned to read people, situations, and even silence, because in the military, what isn't said often carries more weight than what is spoken. At home, it hasn't been much different. The same vigilance, the same awareness, carries into family matters, sometimes causing tension but often keeping those I care about safe. People often describe me as steady, reliable, and unshakable, but inside, I've felt the quiet weight of responsibility pressing down at all times. I'm not reckless, but I trust my instincts and my experience, knowing that decisions have consequences that ripple far beyond the immediate moment. Lately, I've sensed a shift around me, a subtle change in the way certain superiors look at me and in the quiet glances at home. And it's the kind of change that hints at a storm, one I need to prepare for without letting anyone see the worry in my eyes. Even with years of training and the hardened exterior of a military officer, I'm still human, still vulnerable to the betrayals and surprises that life tends to throw at you. But I've learned to navigate these challenges with strategy, patience, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you've faced worse before. In the days ahead, those qualities will be tested in ways I never could have anticipated, and every choice I make will matter, not just for me but for everyone who depends on the order and integrity I fight to uphold. The first hint that something was off came during a routine morning briefing. I noticed subtle shifts in the way my commanding officer glanced at my reports, a hesitation that wasn't there before, and the terse comments that felt more like warnings than guidance. At home, the tension was no less subtle. My spouse's questions about my upcoming assignments carried a weight I couldn't ignore, and my adult children seemed to skirt around topics that should have been casual. As days went on, the signs multiplied. An email from my superior questioned a decision I had made weeks earlier with a tone that implied incompetence rather than curiosity. During meetings, I felt eyes on me, whispers barely audible, and the weight of expectation from every corner of my life pressing in simultaneously. Even the simplest tasks became exercises in caution, each word I spoke measured, each action considered for its unintended consequences. One afternoon, after returning from base inspections, I overheard a conversation that made my chest tighten. Two officers I had trusted discussed plans that could potentially derail my career, citing reasons that seemed trivial but were clearly calculated to sow doubt. At that moment, the betrayal was personal and professional, merging into a single, uncomfortable reality that I couldn't ignore. The more I observed, the more I realized the conflict wasn't limited to the military hierarchy. My family, intentionally or not, had begun to question my choices in ways that echoed the suspicions I faced at work. Comments about relocation, my next deployment, even minor financial decisions came laced with subtle criticism, planting seeds of doubt and frustration. The combined pressure felt relentless, a storm with no clear end in sight. I decided to confront the situation cautiously, probing without revealing too much. During a scheduled meeting, I asked direct questions about project evaluations and personnel changes, noting every pause and glance. The responses were polite, measured, but empty, like rehearsed lines meant to placate rather than inform, and the sense of impending conflict grew heavier. At home, similar strategies unfolded. I began to notice patterns in conversations. The way certain remarks were timed, the quiet insistence on decisions that felt like ultimatums. I knew something had shifted, and the feeling of being undermined from multiple fronts was both maddening and motivating. Each day became a test of patience, observation, and careful maneuvering, as if every step I took was being watched and calculated against me. Even routine communications became charged with tension. A simple request for information from my office turned into an exercise in diplomacy, balancing firmness with restraint, while private family conversations required a similar careful approach. The dual pressures of military duty and family expectation created a constant low-level anxiety that I carried with me. And yet, it sparked something crucial, a determination to regain control, to prepare for whatever move came next, and to protect both my career and my family from unseen threats. By the end of the week, the conflict was undeniable. The subtle undermining, the quiet manipulations, and the mounting tension crystallized into a single, urgent need. I had to act strategically, gather evidence, and find a way to turn the situation in my favor without escalating beyond control. It was the kind of challenge that demanded patience, intelligence, and courage, and I knew that the days ahead would define not just my career but my ability to protect everything I had worked for. Over the next few days, I began piecing together information that only I could see, drawing from years of meticulous record-keeping and first-hand experience in both military operations and family matters. Every assignment I had ever led, every report filed, every conversation archived in my mind or in secure files became a tool I could wield. It was a quiet realization, one that brought a strange calm amid the storm, because I understood that the advantage I held was invisible to everyone else. I started small, revisiting old mission logs and cross-referencing them with recent evaluations and project notes. The inconsistencies were subtle but telling, a pattern that suggested attempts to misrepresent my performance and manipulate outcomes. At home, I paid close attention to interactions that previously seemed mundane, questions about travel, finance, and even casual remarks about career moves, and I noticed the slight but deliberate probing, a test of boundaries that only an experienced observer could detect. By midweek, I had compiled a secure folder of documentation that mapped everything from minor operational discrepancies to key decisions that underscored my expertise. The preparation was methodical. I would read through it after the children went to bed, verifying dates and cross-checking email chains while the house settled into quiet. Each note and file was carefully annotated, creating a clear, defensible record that no one could dispute without revealing their own missteps. The advantage was not just in the facts themselves, but in knowing how to present them at the right time. I began to anticipate the next moves of my colleagues and family, envisioning possible scenarios and outcomes. It was like running a simulation in my mind, where every step could be traced, predicted, and countered with precision. The calm that came with this preparation was deceptive. Beneath it, a simmering determination fueled my patience, a sense that the moment to act would come soon enough. I also started to integrate subtle actions into my daily routine to reinforce control without arousing suspicion. I made a point to arrive early for briefings, ensuring that any minor discrepancies in reports could be noticed and addressed before others could act. At home, I organized family documents, double-checking financial statements and personal records, creating a buffer between my decisions and the subtle manipulations around me. Each careful step reinforced my confidence, a quiet assurance that when the time came, I would not be caught off guard. The dual life of managing military responsibilities and observing family dynamics created a heightened sense of awareness. Even casual conversations became data points, each word, tone, and hesitation cataloged in my mind. I noticed when a sibling would glance at me before answering, or when an officer hesitated before confirming a decision, small signals that reinforced the advantage I already held. The strategy was simple: wait, watch, and act only when the outcome was fully within my control. Late one night, after reviewing the latest operational reports, I paused to reflect on the collection of evidence I had amassed. It was exhaustive yet precise, a map of everything from minor missteps to larger patterns of potential sabotage. The files, notes, and mental cataloging formed an invisible safety net, a structure that I knew could not be dismantled without exposure. I also began envisioning the confrontation that would inevitably come, mentally rehearsing how to present the information in a way that would neutralize threats and reassert authority. It wasn't about revenge. It was about structure, fairness, and accountability. The advantage I had discovered was powerful because it was rooted in preparation and observation, qualities that had served me well throughout my career, and that would now allow me to navigate a situation where appearances alone could not protect me. As the days blurred together, the anticipation built, a slow-burning tension that demanded both restraint and vigilance. I maintained routine appearances of compliance while privately ensuring that every piece of leverage I possessed was secure and ready. The calm, calculated pace of my preparation created a sense of inevitability, a quiet confidence that when the moment arrived, I would not just survive the confrontation but emerge in control. By the end of the week, the foundation was set. Every document was organized, every observation noted, and every potential scenario considered. I understood the power of this secret advantage, a resource built on knowledge, patience, and foresight, and I knew that the coming days would test not just my skill but my ability to remain composed under scrutiny. The story was about to shift, and I was ready to guide it with precision and confidence. The day of confrontation arrived with a quiet that felt heavy, as if the world itself was holding its breath. I entered the command center with my folders securely in hand, each step measured, every movement deliberate to project calm authority. Around me, colleagues and superiors exchanged quick glances, a tension that made the fluorescent lights seem sharper and the air thicker. When the first questions came, they were carefully worded, designed to probe for uncertainty or mistakes. But I had anticipated each one. I presented information methodically, cross-referencing mission logs, personnel reports, and operational timelines, demonstrating a command over the details that was undeniable. Each revelation was subtle but precise, a quiet demonstration that the advantage I held was not just data but mastery, and every omission or inaccuracy in their assumptions became immediately apparent. At one point, a senior officer attempted to challenge my interpretation of a recent deployment report. Their tone sharpened with the expectation of resistance. I calmly countered with documents and verified communications, letting the evidence speak louder than any words could. The shift in the room was almost imperceptible at first. Tension softened into disbelief as colleagues began to recognize that my perspective was not only valid but necessary for clarity and accountability. The atmosphere remained taut, with every glance and pause magnifying the suspense. I noticed subtle reactions. Someone cleared their throat, another leaned back in thought, and a few exchanged silent murmurs, realizing that the narrative they had been spinning was unraveling. I continued presenting my findings, weaving together operational data and procedural evidence, showing that the decisions I had made were consistent, informed, and in line with regulations. Outside, the quiet hum of the base carried on, oblivious to the strategic unfolding within these walls. I paused momentarily, allowing the gravity of the moment to settle, then pressed forward, explaining the sequence of events that had led to apparent discrepancies. Each point was met with careful consideration, and I observed as the balance of authority subtly shifted, the room acknowledging the inevitability of the conclusions I had drawn. By mid-morning, the tension hit a peak when a previously skeptical officer questioned a procedural step, implying potential negligence. I responded not with anger but with a demonstration of exacting preparation, referencing communications, logs, and corroborating statements that left no room for misinterpretation. The effect was immediate. The skepticism dissipated, replaced by recognition that I had maintained integrity and diligence where others had assumed vulnerability. Family concerns had followed me quietly in the background, their influence subtle yet persistent in earlier days, but I maintained focus, using the lessons from personal interactions to guide my presentation and tone. I understood that appearances mattered as much as facts, and I projected confidence and composure that reinforced the authority already established by my documentation. Every gesture, every carefully chosen word, reinforced the invisible structure I had built over weeks, ensuring no one could undermine it now. The final phase of the confrontation came when I laid out a summary of key operations and decisions, connecting dots that had previously seemed isolated. As I spoke, The reactions in the room shifted from guarded skepticism to acknowledgement and even relief among some colleagues who recognized the clarity brought to a previously muddled situation. It was a quiet triumph, understated yet absolute, as the evidence and insight I had meticulously prepared became undeniable. When the last question was asked, it was not a challenge but a request for clarification, a tacit acceptance that the narrative I controlled was both accurate and critical to ongoing operations. I provided the answers calmly, efficiently, and without exaggeration, allowing the credibility of preparation and experience to carry the weight. In that moment, I felt the culmination of patience, observation, and careful planning solidify into real influence, a clear validation of the effort I had invested. Even as the room settled, I could feel the shift in dynamics, subtle but unmistakable. Those who had attempted to undermine me now had to acknowledge the limits of their influence, recognizing that their assumptions and miscalculations had been anticipated and countered. The quiet satisfaction was profound. The tension of days past resolved not with confrontation or conflict, but with clarity, competence, and controlled execution. As the meeting concluded, I carefully packed away the documents, each folder and report returning to its rightful place, a tangible symbol of regained authority. My colleagues left with an unspoken understanding, some silently appreciative, others subdued by the realization that I had navigated a minefield without faltering. I remained for a moment, reflecting on the controlled chaos, the subtle victories, and the validation of years of disciplined preparation. Walking back through the base corridors, the weight that had been pressing on my shoulders lifted incrementally, replaced by a sense of accomplishment and relief. I knew this was only one chapter in a long career, but it was a definitive one, a demonstration that intelligence, patience, and meticulous attention to detail could turn even the most precarious situations in my favor. The climax had arrived, and with it, a quiet, profound victory that would resonate far beyond the walls of that command center. After the confrontation, the weight that had been pressing on me finally began to lift. The immediate conflicts at work were resolved, and the tension that had lingered at home eased subtly, replaced by a mutual understanding that respect and preparation mattered more than assumptions or hidden agendas. I realized that the quiet power of knowledge, carefully applied, could restore order without unnecessary conflict. And that principle carried a profound sense of satisfaction. In the days that followed, the lessons became clearer. I reflected on the importance of setting boundaries, both professionally and personally, and how protecting one's integrity is not selfish but essential for long-term success. The experience reaffirmed that resilience is cultivated through patience, strategic observation, and a calm approach to challenges, even when emotions run high or circumstances feel threatening. At home, interactions grew simpler and more intentional. Family members recognized the subtle changes, and a shared respect developed from understanding the limits of influence and the importance of personal accountability. In the workplace, colleagues began to seek guidance rather than test assumptions, and the environment shifted from quiet tension to measured collaboration, proving that preparation and competence can reshape dynamics without confrontation or drama. I also discovered something deeper about myself. The stress and uncertainty had tested my patience, my focus, and my ability to remain composed under pressure. Facing these challenges and emerging not only intact but in control reinforced the value of foresight, calm decision-making, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing one has done everything possible to prepare. The clarity that followed was both practical and emotional. I could appreciate the small victories, the restored trust, and the reinforced structures I had put in place. More importantly, I understood that my actions were not about proving superiority but about ensuring that truth, fairness, and integrity prevailed in an environment where both could easily be compromised. Looking back, the experience has become a guidepost for how I approach future challenges. The discipline honed through military service, combined with lessons from personal interactions, creates a framework for handling adversity with grace and precision. I learned that control is rarely about domination and always about preparation, understanding, and the ability to act decisively when circumstances demand it. In quiet moments, I still think about the tension and the stakes that felt insurmountable at first. Yet, there is a calm satisfaction in knowing that measured actions and thoughtful preparation can navigate even the most complex conflicts. The lessons are simple yet profound. Protect your boundaries, trust your knowledge, and remain steadfast. Because the combination of wisdom and resilience can carry you through storms that might overwhelm others. The aftermath has been a period of reflection, growth, and renewed purpose. Every challenge now feels like an opportunity to apply what I have learned about observation, strategy, and maintaining composure under pressure. There is peace in knowing that while the world may test you, the preparation, patience, and quiet confidence you cultivate will always provide a foundation for overcoming obstacles and achieving meaningful outcomes. As I reflect on everything that has happened, I realize the journey has been as much about understanding myself as it has been about overcoming external challenges. The conflicts, the subtle betrayals, and the moments of uncertainty all serve to highlight the importance of preparation, patience, and clarity of purpose. Through it all, I discovered that maintaining composure and acting with integrity can turn even the most complex situations in your favor. The lessons extend beyond the military or family context. They are universal. Setting boundaries, knowing your value, and standing firm in your principles are tools anyone can use to navigate life's unexpected tests. The experience has reinforced that resilience is cultivated through deliberate action and thoughtful observation, and that true empowerment comes from taking control of what you can influence while letting go of what you cannot. I want viewers to think about their own lives and the moments when they felt challenged, undermined, or tested. How did you respond when someone questioned your abilities, doubted your decisions, or created obstacles in your path? Sharing experiences, commenting on lessons learned, and reflecting on personal growth can inspire others and create a community of people who value integrity and self-reliance. Looking ahead, I approach each day with a sense of confidence and calm that comes from experience and preparation. I have learned to trust myself, to plan carefully, and to act decisively without letting emotion cloud judgment. The sense of agency and control gained from these lessons allows me to navigate challenges with clarity and to support those around me in ways that are constructive and empowering. Ultimately, the story is not just about facing betrayal or reclaiming authority. It is about the power of resilience and the quiet strength found in preparation, intelligence, and measured action. I hope viewers take away the message that no matter how complex or threatening a situation may appear, maintaining composure, protecting your boundaries, and acting with integrity will guide you through. There is a sense of freedom in knowing that your actions, thoughtfulness, and preparation are the foundation of your success. As the video closes, I encourage everyone watching to reflect on their own capacity for resilience and to recognize the power that comes from preparation and self-reliance. Life will present challenges, but each one is an opportunity to practice patience, courage, and wisdom. By embracing these lessons, you can navigate adversity, protect what matters, and emerge not only intact but stronger and more self-assured.